Hi, Scorpio Sun and Rising. Welcome to your May 2022 Astro Update. It's Rena here. So, coming off the heels of an eclipse that happened in your opposite sign of Taurus, so a solar eclipse in your seventh house on the last day of April, you enter the month of May with energy, significant energy in the house before it in Aries, which is the sixth house and is a very practical place. It deals with your work or service to others, your daily routine, your health. It's an earth house. And so this is an area that is how you make money, how you serve other people, how you order your time. Venus goes into this area on the second of the month in Aries. And so this can give some kind of boost to your income through the work that you're doing. Maybe you get a raise. Of course, Venus goes through this house every year, so it's not, anything special. But what makes this kind of special is that on the 10th, Jupiter goes here. And Jupiter has a much longer transit through a sign than Venus does. Venus has about 3.5 weeks. Jupiter has 12 or 13 months in one sign. So these are the two planets also that are called benefics. They're considered to be very fortunate, very positive in the influence that they wield. So that likewise can be something that is very enjoyable for you because you feel like your work has a positive theme to it. The environment, the sixth house can be the workspace or your coworkers, and Venus there and Jupiter can make it very positive. Maybe you're gaining something through your coworkers. Somehow they're lucky for you. Definitely cooperative with Venus. On the same day that Jupiter goes into Aries, we have a Mercury retrograde on the 10th at 4 degrees of Gemini. So that is going to be in your 8th house. And that may have something to do with money that belongs to someone other than you, or something that you're sharing with other people. So an example would be with the sharing is if you're coupled and your partner's money somehow changes, that affects you. Mercury retrograde can mean some kind of like document or, paperwork, contract is not as it should be, and it can prolong some kind of legal matter, perhaps, that has to do, in this case, could be to do with money, like an inheritance issue, is one example. Sometimes there can be confusion or some kind of miscommunication. So in the 8th house, likewise, it can have something to do with a will, or if you're getting divorced, it can indicate that there is some kind of disagreement. Well, disagreement isn't really what a Mercury retrograde is. It's more of a misunderstanding than a disagreement. That's how I would characterize it. But something isn't adding up, or there's a snafu. Sometimes the check gets lost in the mail. But the 8th house, if there's anything like that, it's something that is not money that you are directly earning. So maybe it's the payment that you're making to pay a loan off or something that gets lost in the mail, and you have to just sort things out. It doesn't mean that there's a calamity. It just means that it can be a little hiccup in this area. On the 16th, there's a lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of your sign. So a lunar eclipse can be quite a major shift. As with the solar eclipse, these are major changes that are possible. In particular, this can be an ending for you. This can be like a new pinnacle of achievement in your life, because this is going to be the first house. So it's going to be at a new, like this is going to affect your life in general. Versus like the first house can be the body though too. So perhaps you're embarking on some kind of a major project that involves letting go of something. So maybe it's losing weight. I mean, that would probably be a really good time to launch a diet, although it'd be during Mercury retrograde. I've heard some good things about Mercury retrograde during, dieting during Mercury retrograde, so it might not be so bad after all. But just like, maybe it's like if you have really long hair and you've had it for years and you decided to cut it short. It's something very much that you're parting with, and you just like totally changing your look or shaving your head. I don't know. But that's kind of more superficial. It can be something that you realize about yourself and that you're, vowing to let go of or vowing to make happen in your life. On the 20th, the sun goes into Gemini, so the sun is going into that eighth house. And by the way, the eighth house is your house. So these matters of the eighth are things that are near and dear to your heart. Eighth house is also metaphysics. Astrology, tarot can fall into this category. The secrets of the universe, shamanism, major transformation. So the sun here is like a very a very comfortable feeling because it makes you feel like who you are. 2 days later, on the 22nd, Mercury goes back into Taurus, and so therefore it's in that seventh house. Now, the seventh house, in addition to being the area of committed partnerships, can be legal affairs. So that's what I'm referring to. If there's some kind of problem with a will, with a divorce decree, in terms of the money allotment and things like that, that can indicate that you have to, sort that out. In other words, perhaps you have to go back into court if you've already been there because a document isn't as it should be. On the 24th, Mars goes into Aries, so Mars goes into that sixth house. All of that those positive vibes that you feel could be challenged by Mars, which is more, it's more active, but it's more coercive sometimes. It can be, there can be conflict. So an example would be, let's say that you had a boss who you did not like and your coworkers, and was kind of like pitting you against your coworkers. That person leaves, and all of a sudden, there's a feeling of peace that is coming over everybody. And then that was just like an interim. Maybe they have somebody in the interim, and then they hire somebody who again is making waves, and that creates some sort of conflict. But it can simply be maybe you're working overtime, you're very active in what you're doing. Maybe you're doing some kind of exercise routine, since the sixth house can be health, and you just had that lunar eclipse in the first house. That might be a major wake-up call about something. On the 28th, Venus goes into that seventh house, which is good because Venus can bring money. Venus can bring harmony. And so any kind of snafu from Mercury can lead to something that is much more um, positive and acceptable on your end of things, where you're happy with what has been negotiated. On the 30th, we have a new moon at 9 degrees of Gemini. So, in that eighth house, this is the phoenix rising from the ashes, the new you. After that lunar eclipse in your sign, you're coming out of that major ending. However, this is during the Mercury retrograde, and Mercury is not only, in the sign behind it, but it has to go back into Gemini, which it will do in June and come out of its shadow around the 18th or 19th of June. So any new beginning that is in Gemini that doesn't seem like it is manifesting, just wait a few weeks and see if things start to really take root. Because remember that the new moon is a time for planting seeds. Maybe the seeds will take longer to sprout, but they will get there eventually. Everything can get there eventually, sooner or later, if we have patience about it. Okay, that's what I have for you, Scorpio. I hope that you related to this. If you would like a private reading, I'm promoting my double readings because they are a great value if you're looking for astrological readings, and I do them in depth. As somebody who, with my sun in the eighth house, in your domain, I really have come to realize, and I have the moon in conjunction with Pluto, that I have an affinity with Scorpio people because of that, because I am not superficial in what I talk about. So I have a double astrology reading called Deep Dive, and I have something called a whole enchilada, which is an astrological analysis plus a tarot reading for those people who like the tarot. So the link is below, and have a great month. Take care. Bye.